morning, friend. So I'm sneaking out of the house this morning. Daniel is watching Baby Dash, and I'm getting a run in. But I figured it'd be a really good time to tell you why I run. Because, well, the story is not exactly easy. But first, let's get down to the water because honestly, there are too many people out here this morning for me to run quickly down La Ramba. So the first part of this story is actually pretty funny, and I'll fill you in while I stretch before I get started. So Daniel and I had been married about a year, and as Daniel's family would put it, well, we had put on some happy weight. And one weekend we were sitting in our little apartment, and my dad came over. I made Southern biscuits and gravy, and we were drinking mimosas, and we were sitting on the couch and talking. And my dad looks at Daniel and he says, "Hey, do you want to run a marathon?" Obviously I thought that he would say no, that's insane. But for some bizarre reason, Daniel was like, "Okay, what do you want? When are you gonna run a marathon?" And my dad was like, "Well, there's one in Vegas in like 3 months." So if you know anything about marathon training, if you're going from couch and mimosas to running a marathon, 3 months really is not enough time to do it. But he did it anyway, and it was painful. He ran all the time. I hardly ever saw him, and when he crossed the finish line, I really wondered if he was going to die. But basically what I learned through Daniel's first marathon experience was that if I didn't start running, I just wasn't going to see my husband anymore because, well, he was hooked. Okay, let's get this run started. Oh, first mile is always the hardest. All right, first mile down, not bad, but check this out. We made it to the beach. And look at this wicked cool sandcastle. Oh, there's one down here too. Let's go look at it. Okay. Yep. That's just amazing. I have absolutely no clue how on earth you would create a sand dragon like this. That is skill. Oh, hold on. One more. Huh, that guy looks like he's had way too much fun here in Barcelona. All right. Made it to the halfway point. It's good stuff. This morning, I'm feeling a little under the weather, which is a perfect reason why I wanted to run today. Maybe like a little congestion, nothing really big deal. But what it reminds me of is when I first started running. Because I think that there's some misconception that like, if you're quote unquote a runner or you run marathons, you just loved running to start. And that was not the case for me. I remember the very first time I got out and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go run. I couldn't run a mile. Could not run a mile. I had to like run it. And my run was really more like a fast walk than it was anything else. And oh my gosh, I just thought I was gonna die. Everything hurt, it was so uncomfortable. And I knew at that moment, like, I would never be a runner. But I'm also really stubborn. So I wasn't about to quit just because it was hard. I figured, like everything in life, give something a try for 6 months and see how it goes. All right, 4 in, just 1 more left to go. And that one I did in 8:45. That's really good for me. Actually, to be honest, that's more than really good. That's like really great for me. I don't know, that might be like one of my fastest 1 miles. But 6 months in, guess what? I still didn't enjoy running. But thankfully, about that same time, Daniel decided that he wanted to start running for a reason. And that's when he signed up for one of his first marathons to run with the American Cancer Society. And if you've been following our channel, you know that Daniel is a 20-year cancer survivor. He got colon cancer when he was like 21, and they took out like half of his insides. Thankfully, like, he was one of the youngest people ever to have gotten colon cancer at that point in time. So it was really crazy, the whole experience. But that being said, I didn't know Daniel 10 or 20 years ago. We've been married 10 years, but all I've gotten to see of that is just, you know, his anxiety around going to the doctor and getting his routine checkups that he has to get as a cancer survivor. But I have my own story too. All right, 5 miles completed, 9-minute pace, 45 minutes. When I was in college, I think cancer was probably the furthest thing from my mind. My grandfather had passed away from brain cancer, but when I was really little, and my aunt had gotten breast cancer and thankfully survived it. So because of that, I was actually in the habit of doing like a regular self-breast exam. And one very, very normal day, I was in my college apartment and took a shower and did said breast exam and felt a lump. And at first I was like, that there's no way, right? But sure enough, it was there. So I called my doctor and they wanted me to come in immediately because I told them that it felt like it was about the size of an egg. So it wasn't like tiny. So of course I went into the doctor immediately. And as soon as I got there, they felt it and they were like, you have to go get this biopsy immediately. Like there was no, you know, we'll get you into the schedule, it'll be next week. They made me go literally from the doctor's office to the place to get it biopsied. So they did a good job in not scaring me too bad, but it was really obvious that the doctor was worried. And after everything was said and done, he told me, he was like, we were really, really concerned. So I go get it biopsied, and if you ever had anything biopsied, that in and of itself is really pretty scary. It's an obnoxiously long needle. You're awake, and basically they put it into my breast, into this like tumor, and pulled a piece of it out. And like when you do it, you get to like, or at least I guess I wanted to see, you watch as they like stick the needle in on the screen and pull this like piece of tissue out. So the unfortunate thing about that is with anything medical, you know that the results are not immediate. They had to send it out. Do you want mommy?
He wants mommy.
Oh, come Come here, boo. That was hands down the longest weekend of my entire life. Yeah, and it was just scary. There's this overhanging question of, do I have cancer? Thankfully, I was one of the lucky ones. And 3 days later, the doctor called and let me know that the biopsy showed that my tumor was benign. There are so many people who are not that lucky. And I ended up going ahead and having surgery and having it removed because it was really uncomfortable. But when we started seriously thinking about running as a way that we could give back and we could help people who weren't as lucky as I was and who had dealt with the stuff like Daniel did. And then right now I'm currently running for the London Marathon for parents and for kids who are dealing with cancer, which seems like it should just be absolutely something that never happens. It put a new meaning for running for me. And even though I didn't enjoy it 6 months or even a year, I think it probably took me like 2 years to say I was actually enjoying going out for a run. Knowing that doing it is not only good for my health, it's not only good for Dash to see us moving and active, but we're also able to give back and help people who really truly need it in the same instance. And I'm raising money for them. If you're interested in donating and helping these children and their families in need, this marathon that I'm currently training for, the London Marathon, I'm raising money for children with cancer and would absolutely love your help and support with that. I'll leave a link in the description below where you can actually go and contribute. But that's my story. I appreciate you hanging out with me this morning. What do you think, Dash? Say, do you appreciate them hanging out with Mommy while she went for her run? Say yes. But if you haven't already this week, make sure you wander local and find a way that you can give back because, well, trust me, it's good for the soul. Bye, friend.